Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
So my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And welcome to Fast Track Batch on Indirect Tax for CA Final. So happy to see you all like this, because I thought never it will be face to face again. So, but thank God, you came at least. So therefore, first of all, thanks a lot for choosing face to face, okay? Because otherwise, maybe this year or next year would be the last batch for me. We will not get motivation to take class to camera and all. So we take class for human beings. So not for camera, light, AC, etc. and all. So, the flow is not coming here by seeing the camera. When I can see your face, okay, so the kind of feedback that I get, and you will be looking at me, you will understand, you will nod your head, you will keep a question mark face, how many expressions you will be giving, so that we will also get some kind of excitement, enthusiasm to take the class. When it is like camera, it will not even smile, it will not react anything. How many days, 2 years, 2 years. I am so happy. So, but I don't think so this COVID and all is there. So therefore exam is definitely going to happen. So don't expect for any postponement of exam. So May exam will happen in May only. So it will not postpone. So never have that thought. And I don't know what you expect from this fast track batch. But let me give you a clarity about how is this fast track batch different from a regular batch. See, a regular batch of mine will be for 170-180 hours, whereas fast track batch is 70 to 80 hours. So what is that, sir, you are not going to cover? If you tell us, so that it will be great. I will not be touching upon the Bare Act. Usually in my regular batch, I will show the Bare Act, section wise, line wise, we will be learning. That much time we don't have. So that I am cutting down. Thereafter, exhaustive discussion on problems. Lot of question and answers I will be doing. But that you cannot expect from me as to, yes, definitely I will discuss problems and solutions. Compared to previous, I wanted to discuss more number of problems and solutions this time. But definitely not like regular batch. That many questions I cannot discuss. Then third, that is about practical aspects. How law will be differentiated in practice. Actually, indirect tax is not law and practice, law or practice. You understood what I am telling? So therefore, what happens in the law is not what you see in the reality. So it is not law and practice, it is either law or practice. Both are, two different tracks. So therefore, about the practical aspects, I am not going to discuss much, that is how the portal works, how return you will file, etc., which you are doing in articleship. That I will do in regular batch, because a lot of students who are doing articleship are not that much aware of what happens in reality, because not every firm is well versed in indirect tax practice. So due to that reason, I will be doing all those discussion also into the class. So these three things are not there in fast track batch, and the speed also little bit more. How many of you attending indirect tax class for the first time? Wow, super. So you have not studied anything before? Yes? Okay. Shabash. Okay. So now I am going to have a tough time. Okay. So therefore, disclaimer, whenever you are not understanding any particular concept, okay, in the break time, you let me know, so that I will repeat that part after the break. So flow don't affect. So let me go with the flow, because time is also a constraint. So due to that reason, okay. And some places I will be reducing, like in the sense only the summary kind of discussion I will make. So there also if you have, because the problem is that if you don't know anything, it will be easy. If you don't know anything, it will be very, very easy for me. But the problem is, like when you have some knowledge And when I tell that, there will be a contradiction. You will learn something, you would have learned something, I will tell something, and then you will say, no sir, like this only na. Then I have to prove myself, no yaar, you are wrong, I am right. So this time I don't want to waste in the class, okay. So proving myself that I know the subject, I should not na. Will you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Should I prove that I know the subject in the class? No. Afterwards we will do the debate and all. Done? Because taking class for CA final students will always come with this incidental benefits like debating in the class, okay. So that regular batch, okay, fine. So we can complete slowly also, but now we cannot. How many of you here are appearing for November 22 exams? Only one, okay. And remaining all for May 22 exam only. Surprising here. May 22 exam, till date you did not touch the book and you came here expecting me to tell everything and go for the exam. Wow! Pah! Sama. Okay. So, therefore, I thought you all know the subject and therefore I came. But good. So, therefore, like this also students are. Thanks for making me realize this. And the book whatever is provided to you, you have been provided with 2 books. 2 books only. It is 2 books only. So revise and solved workbook. So solved workbook, as the book size was big and they could not print it in one single book because the pages are oozing out. So just they made it into 2 volumes, that's it. Okay. So but actually those 2 volumes are 1 book only, solved workbook. And actually, I did not give solved workbook till last attempt for fast track batch. I used to give some 200 questions only. But thereafter, of late, what many students told me is that, sir, if we are not able to read theory, at least we will do problems and solutions, we will go for the exam. Tell me that book which we can cover all problems and solutions so that we can go for the exam and write. That is this solved workbook, okay? Now, basically, you guys don't have that much of patience in reading the theory and then applying it into the problem, so I can understand you better. So that's the reason why I gave you this solved workbook. Now what you need to do, if you cover all the problems in the solved workbook, around some 600-700 questions are there, okay. So that problems, all problems if you are solving, the subject is covered. Like that the questions are incorporated. Done? Okay. So therefore if you are not able to read the theory or learn from the theory also, don't worry, at least practice this question and answers so that the concept gets covered, okay. Even in the class also we will be covering many questions from the solved workbook, and this theory book also, revised book whatever is provided to you, that also contains the summary of the provisions, like detailed and with illustrations. I have incorporated around some 120 plus illustrations I incorporated. So to understand every concept, one illustration, okay. So this revised book fully I will complete. That is my job that you can expect from me. So you are having one colorful book na with full of charts and all. So that book I will complete in the class for sure. And then the solved workbook, a black and white one that contains problems and solutions. In that also majorly like important questions I wanted to cover in the class. Remaining questions you practice at your end. Now sir, suppose if we read these 2 books, that is revised book and solved workbook, how many marks we can expect in exam? Not less than 60 here. So I'll not boast myself, I hate that. So I'll not say no, you study, you attend my class, you will become successful. Like that I will not tell, because end of the day it is completely your effort only. So therefore I will do my job. Because of you only you are going to get the good marks. But by covering this, guarantee 60 plus, okay. But 80 plus and all, little too much only. So you should have definitely some knowledge onto the subject previously. Maybe this fast track batch would have helped you out. But if you are learning from this fast track batch only mainly, how much ever difficult the paper may be, 60 is guaranteed, okay. And suppose if the paper is easy, you will be into 70s, okay. If the paper is difficult, 60 is guaranteed. That is what we also need, correct? Of course, sir, 200 out of 400, sir, not 1 mark more, not 1 mark less. We don't need that extra mark, sir. So if we can get 200 and if we are clearing this group, that is enough for us. Because, sir, what to do? You know, SCMPE, we don't know what to write in the answer sheet, because answer sheet and question book paper booklet both will be of the same size, okay. And we will be preparing problems and going there and there, everything what they are asking no one understands, okay. We will write something and come thinking that is correct answer, but they will not give 1 mark also for that. And then elective paper, needless to say, one attempt, one elective we will be choosing, okay. And no, last attempt economic class was easy, this time you go for economic class, like that they will say, we will choose that. This attempt that paper will become difficult, okay. So it is playing around us. And then DT, needless to say, third group in CA final, okay. Because of the volume that it has, you know, we cannot complete it, practically not possible. The only subject predictable you can write and you can score marks that will take care of your aggregate problem, etc., is this subject only, okay. So never I will leave you, my subject also will leave you, don't worry, you understood or not. And next thing, so the class will be from 9 to 6, you are aware, na? Yes, okay, so prepare that and come. In the sense like 9 to 6 the class will be, so don't say sir, enough sir, like that, no, okay. We don't have that much time. We don't have that much time to, you know, complete the portion, so that's why, so no way, 9 to 6 all days will be there, and you pray for me that I should not have any kind of health issue, nothing should happen for me, that all the lighting, etc. should work properly, okay, that you pray for me, I will pray for your result, okay, mutual, done, okay. So, this, coming to the subject, this indirect taxes, you might be aware that it is divided into 2 parts, GST and customs, FTP. And this GST is for 75 marks and customs and FTP is for 25 marks. In that foreign trade policy, 5 marks, which means customs weightage is only 20 marks. And for May 22 attempt, there will be lot of amendments from November 21 exam. All those amendments also will be covered. And for easy reference, what I did is that I gave you the page number reference of all May 22 amendments in the book. You can see that. What are all the amendments, in which page number it is there. You can cross check that when you want to revise in the last minute. Okay. So that these amendments we will be giving more importance this fast track batch. Reason being, from amendments more questions will come, and then one chapter itself is newly added, that is warehousing under customs. This concept block 37, you can see in the index, concept block 37 is a new topic added for May 22 exam. It was not there up till November 21 exam. Actually it was there in 2018, then they removed to reduce the syllabus. Then again they thought CA students are easily qualifying, so let's add, so they have added this, okay. So then next thing, even I have incorporated November 22 amendments also. Sir, anyhow we will qualify, na? You will qualify, but as a teacher it's my, you know, job to complete even November 22 amendments also. So that also I will incorporate. As you are not writing for November 22, ignore that. If you are writing for November 22, so you need to know that, okay. So, but I sincerely pray for you that you all should complete in May 22 itself, okay. Yes, na? Yes, sir. So then, so November 22 amendments also I have incorporated. So therefore after your exam you can resell this book for 50%, so that you can, yeah, so you can recover at least some cost, okay. End of the day that is required here. Then, so sir, how the class is going to be? Like, you know, little bit speed, but not full speed, no, definitely not. And at the same time, Now I will be covering from the book itself. I will not make you write too much, because if I make you write too much now, then the time management will be difficult. So mostly it will be in the book itself. You don't have any writing work, but have some sticky notes or some small notebook, etc. So that scribbling pad or some small notebook or sticky notes, any important points, any extra points if I am telling, that alone you write and you paste it over there, or you can write separately in that scribbling pad, etc. Okay, so that much only, but not fully. Then as I will not be making you write, you should not sleep in the class, because only one way communication. So you should have lots and lots of attention. So you should be listening. So you need to give time for the mind, not for the hand to write and all. Okay, so therefore every point what I am telling, so you need to able to understand and immediately take it into the mind. So it is not like we don't have the liberty of, okay fine, we will listen and go to the home and thereafter we will sit. Never. So after 6 o'clock, by the time you reach home, then where you will have time? You will not have any time. So practically speaking, you are all not nerds, na? So then again to sit for 2 hours, 3 hours and revise whatever has happened. All those guns, days over. Okay, maybe in foundation or inter you would have done. Now and all, no, definitely no. So because our mobiles are taking over us, so wherein by the time you go home, full day you spent in the class itself. So then where you will have time? If it is online class, parallel processing will be happening. So one side class will be going on, other side in mobile everything will happen. But now it is not possible. Okay, so therefore I can understand. So therefore what should be your objective? Please. What should be your objective? Learn in the class itself. Okay. What's your objective?
Learn in the class.
And how many marks you should score?
60
plus. Okay. 60 plus. And that should be the target. With that objective we will start. The first concept block is Introduction to GST, Indirect Tax. What's the full form of GST? That you will know. Goods and Services Tax. Okay. And is goods and services tax a new tax, or is it based on various old indirect taxes? It is based on old indirect taxes. Lot of old indirect taxes got subsumed into GST. So therefore GST is not the new tax which BJP government claims that we created GST, nothing like that. It is the same old indirect taxes, just they merged into multiple indirect taxes got merged and they made it into one single GST. So what were the indirect taxes which were there in the past levied by the central government? So we had central excise duty, then service tax, then central sales tax. So these three were there. Central excise duty, when was it levied upon? Manufacture of finished goods. Whenever you manufacture finished goods, you were required to pay excise duty, central excise duty. So whenever any import or export takes place, customs duty. So whenever services were provided, service tax. So whenever interstate sale takes place, what is interstate sale? One state to other state, then it will be central sales tax. So central sales tax has got peculiarity that it was levied by central government but was collected by the state government. So central sales tax revenue was not going into central government kitty, but it was going into the state government's pocket. Understood or not? So that is the exception for central sales tax, even though it is levied by central government but collected by the state government. But all other central government levies levied by the central government, collected by the state government. Okay. So total 4 levies of central government: excise duty, customs duty, service tax and central sales tax. Customs duty not got subsumed into GST. Why not got subsumed into GST? Because they don't want to touch the imports and exports, because if anything happens and the international trade gets affected, so due to that reason international trade levy, that is customs duty, is outside the ambit of GST. So what we have is only the other 3. What are the other 3? Excise duty, service tax and central sales tax got subsumed into GST. Then in the past, that is before implementation of GST, along with customs duty there used to be something called as additional customs duties, CVD and SAD. countervailing duty and special additional duty, like that 2 additional customs duties used to be there. So for what purpose? For example, I am importing a smartphone. What will be the burden on me? That is before GST, only customs duty burden on me. I was not having any other burden. So when you are locally procuring the smartphone, so what will be the burden on you? So when the smartphone is locally manufactured, there will be excise duty burden on you, and that is excise duty on manufacture of that smartphone. Then on import of the raw material, some customs duty paid, and that burden also will be on you. Correct or not? So whether every smartphone is manufactured out of the material which is locally available, impossible. Now we don't have that much of raw material availability in India, not everything, including the glass. If you take the touchscreen glass, that is also not available in India, so it needs to be imported only. So therefore mostly in India we have the assembly units, correct, in manufacturing. And on import of that smartphone parts, customs duty payable by the importer, which will be in turn collected from you. Upon manufacture of the smartphone, excise duty payable, that was also collected from you. And whenever sale takes place, the sales tax was payable. So that is central sales tax or value added tax, that was also collected from you. Now on importer, there was a lesser burden, but on person who is purchasing in the local market, there was more burden. So which means imports are encouraged and local sales is discouraged, correct or not? So due to that reason, on imports they added CVD and SAD. What were the 2 additional duties levied on import? CVD and SAD. What is the full name of CVD? Countervailing duty, to counterbalance excise duty, and SAD, special additional duty, to counterbalance sales tax. Okay. On locally manufactured article, there was excise duty. So on imported article also a duplicate is created. Okay, if we create duplicate, that is wrong, but if government creates duplicate, that is correct. Okay, so they created a duplicate excise duty. What was the duplicate excise duty known as? CVD, countervailing duty. Then sales tax on locally sold goods. On imported goods also sales tax, a duplicate sales tax was created. What was the duplicate sales tax? SAD, special additional duty. Whether excise duty got subsumed into GST, please see. Whether excise duty got subsumed into GST, merged into GST, yes. So as CVD is duplicate of excise duty got subsumed into GST, so CVD also got subsumed into GST, understood or not? Then as sales tax got subsumed into GST, SAD is a duplicate of sales tax, that also got subsumed into GST. So which means that on import, at present, we need to pay GST instead of the CVD and SAD. Is it clear? So which means this additional customs duty, CVD and SAD also got subsumed into GST. So now what is that first point you need to remember as to how GST is formed? All old indirect taxes levied by central government except customs duty, but including CVD and SAD got subsumed into GST. Is it clear or not? So can you repeat once? All old indirect taxes except customs duty, including CVD and SAD, got subsumed into GST. CVD for what purpose? To counterbalance? SAD to counterbalance sales tax. Okay. Then next, state levies were there in the past. State levies like advertisement tax, entertainment tax, luxury tax, betting tax, etc. Lot of state government levies were there. All those state government levies, okay. So value added tax, purchase tax. When is it levied? Value added tax, intrastate sale. Interstate sale, central sales tax. Intrastate sale, value added tax. Then purchase tax. So whenever we make purchases from a particular territory, other state, so this state will be levying some purchase tax. And then tax on lottery, betting and gambling. So on betting transactions, state government used to levy some tax, that was betting tax. And then entertainment tax on these people like cinema actors, movie actors or serial actors or cinema theaters or DTH services, etc. There used to be something called as entertainment tax levied by state government. And advertisement tax, That's what big hoardings they keep now. All jewelry shop hoardings, then some garment shop hoardings, then even this beverages, slice and all. Many accidents will happen, no? We will see the hoarding and we will drive and we will go and hit it. Okay, so those hoardings, where you will do, you will not see all those things. Articleship, time over, we need to go. Okay, so you guys are very busy, you did not see that much of hoardings. No, usually to keep that hoardings, big hoardings, so we need to pay advertisement tax. Okay, then luxury tax for stay in the 4-star or 5-star accommodations, luxury tax is also payable. Okay, that was payable previously. Now these state government levies also got subsumed into GST. What were the state government levies? Value added tax, purchase tax, betting tax, entertainment tax, luxury tax and advertisement tax. These 6 were subsumed into GST. Apart from this, any other state government levy got subsumed into GST? No. Example, there was one local body tax levied by Maharashtra. So it not got subsumed into GST. Then professional tax. So lot of entities which are having more than 10 employees are required to pay professional tax to the state government. Even that also not got subsumed into GST. Then the municipal taxes not got subsumed into GST. Is it clear or not? So not all state government levies got subsumed into GST. The specified state government levies got subsumed into GST. When I discussed this point in the last batch, no, every student was like you only. Why he is discussing all these things? 1 mark MCQ came. You can cross check. 1 mark MCQ came. That is, so which of the following not got subsumed into GST? So 1 MCQ came. Now the professional tax something point was there and it came. And the student told me, sir, which tax are not got subsumed into GST? You understood or not? This is ICI for you. Got it? So therefore, whenever we read something, we feel like this will never be asked, that only will be asked. You understood or not? So therefore, everything whatever I am telling, important only. You understood? Then, so therefore, we understood what are the state government levies. So therefore, first point, say that all indirect taxes levied by central government except customs duty got subsumed into GST. Even countervailing duty also, special additional duty also got subsumed into GST. What about indirect taxes levied by state government? Specified indirect taxes levied by state government got subsumed into GST. Total 6 you need to remember. Okay. So what are the 6? Can you tell me? Value added tax, purchase tax, betting tax, entertainment tax, luxury tax, advertisement tax. These were subsumed into GST. Have you been to any movie recently? No. No, you didn't go to any movie recently. Where everything you will be watching in Telegram itself. So where from you will be going for any movie? So this movie theaters will be charging entertainment tax even after implementation of GST. How come on cinema theaters still entertainment tax is there? That entertainment tax is not levied by state government, because state government levying entertainment tax got subsumed into GST, but this entertainment tax is levied by local authorities. So local authority levies not got subsumed into GST. Entertainment tax or any other local authority levy not got subsumed into GST. Is it clear or not? So which means that they created this a kind of giveaway in the law constitution, so that tomorrow when states needed some money, they will be using these local authorities and they will be creating new taxes, and through that new taxes, so they will be able to raise their revenue. Okay, that's what is happening in Andhra Pradesh. I don't know whether you are aware or not. So in Andhra Pradesh, even on this waste, household waste we throw, now we need to pay tax. You got it? So sooner Tamil Nadu also lot of taxes they may bring. So those who are wearing spectacles should pay spectacle tax. Okay. So those who are wearing dress pay dress tax. Like that also. So that is dangerous. So this is the problem in the constitution. Still it is there that local authority is having power to levy indirect taxes, that not got subsumed into GST. Okay. So that is the third point. Local authority levy not got subsumed into GST. Therefore, at present there are only 2 indirect taxes. What are those 2 indirect taxes? GST and customs duty basically. Okay, then whether in India we have single GST model or dual GST model. Single GST model means across the country only one GST. Dual GST model means central government also will collect GST, state government also will collect GST. Whether in India we have single GST model or dual GST model. Means center as well as state both will levy GST on the common tax base, correct or not? And for example, whatever fees that you are paying for this fast track batch plus GST, 9% CGST, 9% SGST. So this is an example of dual GST. You go to a restaurant where you will be purchasing some food and for which you will pay 2.5% CGST, 2.5% SGST, that is known as dual GST model. Okay, and India adopted this dual GST model from two countries, Brazil and Canada, for MCQ. Okay, so India adopted dual GST model from which countries? Brazil and Canada. And dual GST model means what? On the common tax base, both central government and state government will levy tax, that is known as dual GST model. Okay, and what is the effective date of implementation of GST in India? 1st July 2017 is the effective date of implementation of GST in India. So see the first page, page number 1. 1st July 2017 is the effective date of implementation of GST in India. And what is the constitutional amendment that was required in order to bring GST law into India? Article 246A of the Constitution. What is that requirement? Previously a union list. So central government was required to levy some taxes, state government was required to levy some taxes, like that we had in 7th schedule to the Constitution. But if that 7th schedule is there, GST cannot be levied in India because GST is a dual system. Central also will levy, state also will levy. But 7th schedule to the Constitution says that there are some entries only center should levy, there are some entries only state should levy. So that constitutional amendment was required. So that constitutional amendment act year is 2016 or 2017. This is where generally we get confused. It is 2016. So in MCQs, we know that effective date of implementation of GST is 2017. So we will be selecting the Constitution Amendment Act as 2017. It is Constitution Amendment Act 2016. So underline that, Constitution 101st Amendment Act 2016. Constitution 101st Amendment Act. Constitution 101st Amendment Act 2016. Same chart, page number 1. Constitution 101st Amendment Act 2016. Suppose if it is bill, when was the bill presented? 2014 year. Bill was presented in 2014 and you can see that. So Constitution Amendment Bill 2014, and listen, act wise it is 101st, act wise it is 101st, bill wise it is 122nd. This can also be twisted. Okay, act wise if you see it is 101st Amendment Act, but the bill order will be 122nd. Okay, Constitution 122nd Amendment Act 2016, wrong option. Constitution 122nd Amendment Act 2016 is a wrong option. Why? It is 101st Amendment Act. Okay, so in this, apart from this, nothing will be tested for MCQ purpose. And the next thing is that what is the legislative framework? How many GSTs do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. Okay, 5. I'll tell. Next number 5. So we have 5 types of GSTs. What were they? Central Goods and Services Tax, State Goods and Services Tax, Union Territory Goods and Services Tax, UTGST, Integrated Goods and Services Tax, Gst Compensation Cess. So total 5 types of GSTs that we have. Okay. First, what is the need of this many types of GSTs, sir? Number 1, whenever the sale happens or any transaction happens, I told you India follows what type of GST? Single GST or dual GST? Means definitely central GST, state GST should be there. But there are some union territories. So in union territories, state GST Act cannot be levied. So therefore they needed a union territory GST. That's why we have the third one, UT GST. Is it clear? Can you tell me how many union territories we have? How many states do we have? 28 states or 29 states? 28 states, because Andhra Pradesh got bifurcated into Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. It became 29 states, but Jammu and Kashmir, Article 370 abrogated, and that was not known, that is now not known as a state. It became a union territory. Okay, so therefore Jammu and Kashmir is not a state, so which means back to 28 states. There are 3 union territories in India which are treated like state. There are 3 union territories treated like state but not state. Delhi, which means there is an assembly, there is a chief minister, etc. Delhi, Puducherry, good. Jammu and Kashmir. The state of Jammu and Kashmir is converted into union territory with 2 union territories here. One is union territory of Jammu and Kashmir with state legislature, means treated like a state, assembly will be there. Whereas the other part of the Jammu and Kashmir, that is Ladakh, so treated as union territory without state legislature, which will be completely under the control of central government. So therefore there are 3 union territories with state legislature, that is Delhi, Puducherry, Jammu and Kashmir. So these 3 also you add to the 28. So 3 plus 28, 31. So there will be how many SGST acts? 31 SGST acts. Why sir 31 SGST acts? Because we have 28 states plus 3 union territories with state legislature. So they will be having the exclusive power to levy. So therefore we call it as 31 SGST acts. Understood or not? So then how many central governments we have? One only. Okay, one only. So therefore how many CGST acts? 1 CGST act. See this. 1 CGST act, 31 SGST acts, and 1 UT GST act for the remaining 5 union territories. How sir 5 union territories? How 5 union territories? Ladakh. Then Andaman and Nicobar. Okay. Daman, Diu, Dadra, Nagar Haveli got merged into a single union territory. So Dadra, Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, single union territory. So 3. Then Lakshadweep, Chandigarh. Goa will not come, no? Okay, fine. So these are the 5 union territories which are treated as union territory without state legislature. For these union territories without state legislature, the applicable GST will be UT GST, but that UT GST, only 1 UT GST for all 5 union territories. Because these 5 are under the common control of central government, due to that reason. So for these 5 union territories, we have only 1 UT GST. Then what was the need for IGST? For example, if there is an interstate supply between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, if there is an interstate supply, okay. So that particular interstate supply between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, so which government should collect the tax? That confusion will come. If it is CGST, SGST, no doubt CGST, central government will collect. SGST, which government should collect? A confusion will come whether it is Tamil Nadu or Karnataka. So therefore what central government is telling, you pay IGST to me. Okay. So IGST is payable to central government. Now IGST cannot be completely retained by central government. Why completely IGST cannot be retained by central government? Because we follow which GST model? Dual GST model. Means IGST is the total. Out of the total, central government also should get 50, state government also should get 50. So therefore, out of this IGST, 50% will go to CG and remaining 50% will go to SG. Which SG? Tamil Nadu or Karnataka? Destination state. So Karnataka, that is consumption based tax. So from origin based tax, we move towards the consumption based tax. In the past, we used to collect at the originating point, but now we are collecting at the destination point. So where the goods are originating, at that place only we used to collect, in the past called as central sales tax. The same scenario in the past, we used to have central sales tax that was collected by the central government, levied by the central government, but collected by the state government. Which state government used to collect that? Tamil Nadu used to collect. And And now what happened, whenever it is an interstate sale, same interstate sale, we have IGST. Out of that IGST, 50% will go to the central government, remaining 50% will go to the state government. And which state government? That is Karnataka. How do we know, or how do government knows that this 50% should be given to Karnataka? Exactly. That is, what is an interstate supply? Interstate supply does not mean a sale takes place between two states is known as interstate supply. First of all, supply is the taxable event under GST. So what is a taxable event under GST? Supply. Supply of goods or service or both. Like how manufacture was the taxable event for excise duty. Service was the taxable event for service tax. Import and export is and was the taxable event for customs duty. And interstate sale was the taxable event for CST. Intrastate sale was the taxable event for value added tax. Like that. What is a taxable event under GST? Supply of goods or service or both. In short, it is supply. So that supply is divided into two. What are the two types of supply? Intrastate supply and interstate supply. Interstate supply means the location of supplier and the place of supply. So they have created a new terminology called as place of supply. What is this place of supply? It depends. Okay, sometimes location of supplier will be place of supply, sometimes location of recipient will be place of supply, sometimes the location where service are actually performed will be place of supply, sometimes the location of immovable property will be place of supply. So depending upon the transaction, the place of supply will vary. Understood or not? So therefore, what we need to do is that for that transaction, what is the place of supply we need to identify, and then only we will know whether it is an intrastate supply or an interstate supply. Contrary to interstate supply, can you tell me what is intrastate? If location of supplier and place of supply is in two different states, that is interstate. Intra means same state or same union territory, then it will be known as intrastate supply. If it is intrastate supply part, then it will be CGST plus SGST. If it is interstate supply, what is the nature of tax? IGST. Intrastate 2, CGST, SGST, or CGST, UTGST. Interstate, it will be IGST. So for example, take there is a chartered accountant who is registered in Tamil Nadu. He went to Delhi for the purpose of conducting an audit. He stayed in Delhi. So now, what will be taken as the place of supply with respect to accommodation services received by him? So location of supplier is Delhi, hotel Delhi. Place of supply is also Delhi, because in case of hotel accommodation, we will take location of immovable property as the place of supply. So therefore, any service in relation to immovable property, remember what will be taken as the place of supply? Location of immovable property. For example, construction services, real estate service, interior decoration service, renting of immovable property service, accommodation service. For all these things, what will be taken as the place of supply are location of immovable property. Now, whatever service that I told you is what service? Accommodation service. Where the hotel owner located? Delhi. So place of supply also Delhi. So therefore, what is the nature of this supply? Intrastate supply. So therefore, that hotel will charge what GST? CGST and SGST. Which SGST? Delhi GST. Now this chartered accountant who went to Delhi will have an invoice. That invoice contains CGST and SGST invoice. Is it clear or not? Why sir? He is from Tamil Nadu, no? Then why can't it be treated as IGST invoice? Location of recipient is not the place of supply always. Sometimes location of recipient is the place of supply, but not always. You understood or not? So therefore, whenever there is an interstate supply, we will be creating an invoice. While creating the invoice, we will be mentioning the place of supply in the invoice. Perhaps in GSTR1, when you file the GSTR1, in GSTR1 you need to add the invoice for B2B. B2B means what? Recipient is registered. B2C means what? Recipient is B2B, recipient is B2C, recipient is. So whenever B2B happens, that is registered, recipient is registered, we need to enter the place of supply. We need to create a invoice in GSTR1. What is a GSTR1? GSTR1 is a return that contains the details of outward supply to be filed by every registered person. So what is GSTR1? Return filed by every registered person that contains the details of outward supply. Any other details will be there in that return? No. Only our outward supply detail. All our outward supply detail we will be entering in one return. What is that return known as? GSTR1. In the GSTR1 we need to add an invoice. When we are adding an invoice, we will have one field called as place of supply. From the drop down we need to select. So when we select that, this IGST what we pay, the 50% will go to that state. Understood or not? Got the clarity? Suppose if we select other territory, there are some transactions which are deemed interstate supplies. There are some transactions which are treated as deemed interstate supply. Means what? It may be within the state, but it should be deemed as interstate supply. Then we need to select the other territory as the place of supply. You got it or not? Example, sir, sale to SCZ is a deemed interstate supply. There is a special economic zone within the state. You are located in Tamil Nadu. There is an SCZ that is also located in Tamil Nadu. Okay. So now, both location of supplier and place of supply is in Tamil Nadu. What is the nature of supply? Intrastate or interstate? Intrastate or interstate? Deemed interstate. Deemed interstate. Why deemed interstate? Because sale to SEZ. Yeah, location of supplier, place of supply, both same state. Then it should be intra. Na? Why are we not calling as intra? Because sale to SEZ should be treated as deemed interstate. Then in the place of supply drop down, we need to select other territory as the place of supply. When we select other territory as the place of supply, we will be paying IGST. Now the government will have a confusion to whom they need to distribute the remaining 50%. Is it clear or not? That 50% will be distributed to all the states based on that supplier's turnover in the last year or that month. Okay. You understood or not? Some basis of apportionment they will follow for giving it to all the states. Is it clear? So if we mention POS, the 50% will go to that state. If you are not mentioning POS but still it is IGST, the 50% will go to the states based on some apportionment ratio. Clear or not? So therefore IGST is there. What is the disadvantage of IGST? To whom IGST is disadvantageous? This concept of IGST. Which state? Which state? Originating state. Originating state. So that is producing states will always have the issue with respect to IGST. What is that issue? In the past, if any goods were manufactured in Tamil Nadu and sold in Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh or etc., so the entire CST revenue was going into Tamil Nadu's revenue, not treasury. But now what has happened? So that CST is not there. So 50% will go to the CG. Remaining 50% will go to the consuming state. Then the producing state is not getting anything. No revenue to the producing state. Will you agree with me? So because of which there could be decline in the revenue. So as there is a decline in the revenue, so then the states asked for a compensation to the center. States did not agree. States said we will not agree for implementation of GST. Some states which are producing states, in the Tamil Nadu is also there. And this was initiated by the late Chief Minister, ex-Chief Minister Jayalalitha. So she only initiated this dialogue with Arun Jaitley, the then late Union Finance Minister. And so this dialogue is like, we will be getting revenue loss because of implementation of GST. So we used to get lot of CST revenue. So that CST revenue will be lost. So therefore we request you not to implement GST in our state. So then immediately, so other states also joined the league. And central government promised that don't worry, we will compensate you for the next 5 years, that any loss that you are having because of implementation of GST, we will take care. We are there, like the central government said. So immediately state government also agreed. Wow, super. So they are going to compensate for our loss. So therefore better we will accept for the GST implementation. All states agreed, because anyhow central government said they will compensate the revenue loss. Now, whenever there is a loss of revenue because of implementation of GST, central government said we will compensate. So therefore state governments agreed. But what state government should have done is that they should have asked, how are you going to compensate the loss? How are you going to get that money? Okay, but they believed central government is rich enough, they will be taking care. And you know what central government did? They brought in some new tax called as Gst Compensation System. On some notified goods, they levied GST compensation cess, and that cess will be used for what purpose? To compensate the states. Who gave promise? Ultimately, who is bearing the burden? You understood or not? Central government gave promise, so they should have paid out of their pocket, but they did not pay out of their pocket. They are in turn levying on people across the country. Sir, if that state you need to give compensate, for that state only you levy GST compensation cess. No. Across the country, all the people on notified goods, GST compensation cess is levied, and they are telling that compensation cess is not sufficient to pay the compensation. I doubt what is happening there, because here automobile sector, we are paying 12% as a compensation cess, 28% we are paying as a GST, and 12% we are paying as compensation cess. If you buy a car worth rupees 10 lakhs, actually one budget car is hidden inside that car. Yes, 10 lakhs, 40%, 4 lakhs, for 4 lakhs one budget car will come. Alto, K10 or Quid, Renault Quid and all you will get for 4 lakhs. Where is that car? Inside this car only. You understood? 4 lakhs we are paying extra for that. The entire automobile industry turned upside down because of that. And when people are going and asking finance ministry is telling, ask them to go in Ola and Uber. Okay, as people are going in Ola and Uber, that's the reason why automobile industry is coming down, not because of GST compensation cess. Go and ask, no, oil price is increasing, stop eating onion. I am not eating, like that she will say. Okay, and if you ask, no, petrol price is increasing, don't use vehicles, go by walk or go by, bicycle. You understood or not? The crazy female she is. Okay, so and so led to implementation of GST compensation cess. So GST compensation cess is there in India, and that is the 5th one, and that not on all goods, only on the notified goods, whether it is intrastate or interstate. What they will do with that money collected, they will be using for the purpose of compensating the states because of loss of revenue on account of implementation of GST. Okay. So that is this. You can see what are the various types of GSTs. So types of GST, what is the taxable event under GST? You can look into page number 3. Okay. And during break time, that is exactly at 11 o'clock I will give break. Okay. So 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 2 hours, once break. Okay. So 11 o'clock, 11 to 11:15 I will give break. Change your places. Okay, those who are sitting this side, you sit on that side, and you guys sit on this side. Okay, otherwise you guys will be quarreling for AC. Okay, they will feel like AC, we are shivering, we cannot sit there. You will feel like you are not getting AC. So don't disturb my class. So I am telling you. So in the 15 minutes break, change your places. You sit there and you sit here. Okay, so that problem will be solved. Done. Then see this, because already it started there. That's why. So types of GSTs, see there, intrastate supply, interstate supply. What is intrastate supply? When location of supplier and place of supply is in the same state or same union territory, intrastate supply. Types of GST, CGST plus SGST and CGST plus UTGST. Why? UTGST within union territory means UTGST. And when location of supplier and place of supply is in 2 different states, 2 different union territories, or a state and a union territory, then it will be IGST. So interstate supply, IGST, 50% shared with the consuming state. In addition to that, we have GST compensation cess. What is the period of implementation of GST compensation cess in India? 5 years from the date of implementation of GST. Can it be extended for a further period as the council decides? Yes, it can be extended for a further period of 5 years. This is the discussion what I have made so far. Understood? Now, UTGST is levied by whom? Central government. Collected by central government. CGST levied by whom? Collected by? Then why we needed to have a separate tax called as UTGST if both are levied by the central government? Why can't they call it as CGST only? Because they wanted to know how much union territories are contributing for the tax revenue. So for that reason, for accounting purposes only, a separate head is made, that is UTGST. Otherwise, both are levied and collected by the central government only. Understood? Then, so look into this illustration 1, which is in page number 3. Location of supplier Tamil Nadu, place of supply Tamil Nadu. What is the nature of supply? Intra or inter? Intra. So what is the tax that will be applicable? CGST plus SGST of Tamil Nadu. Okay. Then location of supplier Tamil Nadu, place of supply Karnataka. Nature of supply? Interstate. Type of tax? IGST. 50% will go to Karnataka. Then next one, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh. Nature of supply? Intra or inter? Why inter? Two union territories. They both are considered as two union territories, even though both were there in the same state. But now because of the bifurcation, so Jammu and Kashmir is separate union territory and Ladakh is now considered as a separate union territory. So what is the nature of supply? Interstate. Type of GST? IGST. Why I have not given 50% shared with Ladakh? Ladakh is under whose control? So that's why completely retained by CG. Is it clear or not? Then Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir now interstate. IGST. Will the 50% sharing be coming now? Yes. Why? Jammu and Kashmir is given the state legislature that will be treated like a state. That's why 50% shared with the state government. Understood or not? So then Ladakh and Ladakh intrastate. So CGST plus UTGST. Okay. Then J&K and J&K intra. CGST plus SGST. So why? Jammu and Kashmir is with state legislature. Tamil Nadu and Puducherry interstate. Will the 50% be shared to Puducherry? Yes. Puducherry is union territory with state legislature. Okay, so therefore 50% will be shared with that. Understood? Now look into the next area. First we have discussed how GST is formed. Next we have seen what is the model of GST that we have, and then we have seen what are the types of GST. So therefore, whether the government claiming that one nation, one tax is correct? No, because this many taxes are there. You know what is the motto of GST? One nation, one tax. Nation also not one, tax also not one. You understood? So see this. Position of goods under GST. And see here, sometimes I will be going out of the subject just to bring you back. Okay. Otherwise, you guys somewhere body present, mind absent. That will happen. That's the reason why. But I am not inclined towards any political party. Okay. And I hate every political party. I love only one political party in India, that is Nazism. Okay. Communism. A kind of communism. That is like whomsoever did the mistake, kill them. And there should not be rich at all. There should be like equal income given to all the people. Okay. So communist, Naxalist philosophies I will be having. So that's why I hate all kind of political parties. But I am not a terrorist. Okay. Say I am not an anti-Indian, Indian only. So position of goods under GST after implementation in comparison to earlier system. That is, alcoholic liquor for human consumption has attracted lots of branding during GST. So that too in Tamil Nadu and all, many people were telling like why alcohol did not come in GST. So therefore even that concept got incorporated into movies also, and the CM candidate Vijay Joseph also has spoke something in the cinema. Okay. So what is this about alcoholic liquor for human consumption? Why is it not brought into the GST? See, right from the independence, India never wanted, this Indian National Congress, which was started by Mahatma Gandhi ji. So never wanted the alcohol to be sold in India, because he said that I have fought for this banning the alcohol, and I don't want this alcohol to be there even at least after independence. But the other people said no, this was creating lot of revenue, so right now we need revenue money, so therefore we need to have. Then he suggested, okay, let it be there at the state level, so the central government should not be having any kind of encouragement towards the alcohol. That's the reason why in Union List 7 schedule to the Constitution, tax on alcohol was kept in the state list, was not kept in the center list. Then he said that gradually the states also, once they get the alternative revenue sources, they should leave the alcohol. That was the ideology. So from the day one, never central government had one drop also of alcohol. In the sense revenue. From the revenue, they never had any share with the alcohol tax. Okay. And when GST comes, if there is tax on alcohol, what will happen? 50% will go to central government, correct? So that was not the intention. So that's why state governments thought that no, we should have completely no sitting with central government, only it is for us only. So therefore completely they consumed. I mean to say tax revenue on alcohol completely they only enjoyed, okay? And that's the reason why it is now not brought into GST, nothing else. But if not GST, old indirect taxes continue to be levied. That is approximately 30-35% we are paying. If it comes into GST, 30-35, no chance. 18% or 28% maximum, that much only will be levied. Okay. Then the alcohol price will come down. So government don't want the alcohol price to come down. So that's the reason why they kept it outside the ambit of GST. So this fact our people will not know. They need to speak something, they will speak something. Okay. So at least the director of the movie should have some knowledge. Correct. Where he will have knowledge. He will only copy 4-5 movies and make. So where from he will have knowledge on that. So see this. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Is there a GST on that or there is no GST on that? No GST on. You know now who is the director. He now went to Bollywood also to direct Shah Rukh Khan and all. Okay. Maybe he will copy 4-5 Hindi movies and make one Hindi movie. That will become super hit because Bollywood trend is that only now. Like all South Indian movies they are copying and they are making it into movies that become big hit. But the same South Indian movie you make there, no one will watch. Okay, the crazy people are there. And alcoholic liquor for human consumption, there is no GST. And in the place of GST, what is the indirect taxes, old indirect taxes that continues? State excise duty. Never it was central excise duty. I told you, state government only used to levy state excise duty upon manufacture and upon sale, central sales tax and value added tax. Okay. So central sales tax levied by central government only, right sir, but it is collected by state government, correct? So due to that reason, so completely it will go to the state only. Then petroleum products. Petroleum products, suppose if I ask you, if the petrol price increases, now you go and ask any state politician, petrol price is increasing. So what is your comment? All because of Modi only, like that they will say. But we need to understand the fact here that central government also will levy tax on petrol and state government is also levying tax on petrol, but the blame goes to always central government. You understood or not? So therefore this benefit which state government will get here. So that's the reason why state government said no, petroleum products should not come into the ambit of GST. Accordingly, central government did not agree for that. No, petroleum products should come, then only there will be uniformity in the pricing. So today, so different states have different price of the petrol, correct or not? So that should not be there. So there should be a single price. The single price is possible only when GST comes into the picture. So for that states did not agree. So therefore they have kept it outside the ambit of GST temporarily. But in future as and when the GST council decides. This point I am telling from 2017. Okay. So whenever GST council decides it will come into the ambit of GST. When it is I don't know. But temporarily it is kept outside the ambit of GST. Understood or not? And therefore, until that point of time, petroleum products are coming into the ambit of GST. What will be the existing indirect taxes that will be levied on petroleum product? Come on manufacture, central excise duty, central excise, not state excise, central excise duty. On sale, CST and VAT. So what are those petroleum products? 5 petroleum products: crude oil, petrol, diesel, aviation turbine fuel and natural gas. These are the 5 petroleum products which are outside the ambit of GST. So at present, what are the goods which are outside the ambit of GST? Come on. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption and petroleum products. These are known as non-taxable supplies. These are known as non-taxable supplies. So what are the non-taxable supplies under GST? Alcoholic liquor for human consumption and petroleum products. Understood or not? Now you need to answer, sir, whether cooking wine covered under GST, not covered under GST? Covered under GST. Why? Because cooking wine is not an alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Okay. Then what about LPG? LPG gas cylinder, covered under GST, not covered under GST? Won't it be a petroleum product? No. Only natural gas is a petroleum product. LPG is not a petroleum product. Then what about beer? Covered under GST or not covered under GST? Why? Because it is an alcoholic liquor for human consumption, but a small content of alcohol is only there in that. Usually beer will have very less content of alcohol. I don't know, people said. Yeah. Why will I have the knowledge of that? Yeah, maybe you guys will have. So a small content of alcohol is there. Is it coming under alcoholic liquor for human consumption? Yes. Whatever may be the content, then in that case, cough syrup also contains some element of alcohol, then that is also alcoholic liquor for human consumption, so that there is no GST? No. So that contains alcohol, that is not for human consumption. Just because it contains alcohol, no one will buy 1 liter cough syrup and consume. You understood or not? So therefore, that alcoholic liquor is not for human consumption and it will be covered under GST. That is not an alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Understood or not? Then what about this lubricating oil, engine oil, etc.? Not covered under petroleum products. So covered under GST. Understood or not? Then kerosene oil? Covered under GST or not covered under GST? Covered under GST. Kerosene oil is what? Is it in the 5 list? Crude oil, petrol, diesel, aviation, turbine fuel, natural gas? Nowhere. So which means it is not a petroleum product. If it is not a petroleum product, then it will be covered under GST. So GST is applicable on that. Understood or not? Then tobacco and tobacco products has got some speciality. Not only GST but also old indirect taxes. What was the old indirect taxes? Central excise duty is even applicable on tobacco and tobacco products. Understood or not? So on tobacco and tobacco products we have central excise duty as well as GST. Okay. So why, sir? Why like that? Why, what is our problem? Let them levy. So as if we are consuming. Okay. So we are not consuming. So what is our problem? Let them levy. Even 1000 type of tax also let them levy. Because these are all price inelastic goods. Just because the price increases, will they stop consuming that? Definitely no. So anyhow on alcohol we could not do anything. At least on this pan masala, zarda, gutka, etc. On that if we levy some more taxes, so that government will get more revenue. Not that they will be stopping that. People will never stop consuming it. That is not the motive. That is only for the paper. Generally, government will be telling if we levy more taxes, price increases, people will not consume. Never is like that. Okay. So people will consume, but they wanted to create more revenue out of these goods. So that's the reason why even central excise duty continued to be levied on tobacco products. Is it clear or not? So GST is also there and old indirect taxes, central excise duty is also there. Apart from these three, all other goods, only GST, there is no old indirect taxes. Is it clear or not? Now, so this is the position of goods under GST. So this we need to learn in connection with customs also. This we need to learn in connection with customs also. Concentrate now. I am just connecting this place to customs. Okay. Now, when customs duty is applicable? Import or export, customs duty is applicable. Okay. On import we need to pay basic customs duty, then social welfare surcharge. In the past there used to be something called as education cess. That education cess is gone and now they added social welfare surcharge. Yes, 10% of basic customs duty. And then IGST will be applicable. Why IGST? Countervailing duty and special additional duty. So as countervailing duty is duplicate of excise duty, special additional duty is duplicate of sales tax. So in the place where excise duty and sales tax got subsumed into GST, in that place IGST will come. Okay. So now please concentrate. You understood this or not? You understood this part? Everyone? Now when we import alcoholic liquor for human consumption, are we importing? Yes, lot of brands are imported. Jack Daniel's whiskey you take, it is being imported. Okay, very good brand. Okay, so now bottle will be good. Brand also very good brand, but inside drink I don't know. But bottle wise, if you see very good bottle, it will be unique way of bottle it is. So Jack Daniel's is imported, whiskey is imported. Not only that, there are a lot of whiskies which are being imported, and on that whether we need to pay IGST. On that whether we need to pay IGST? No. Because on local sale of liquor there is no GST. So on import we are not required to pay IGST. Then what we need to pay? CVD, because we had excise duty, and SAD because we have sales tax, and thereafter SAD they have removed. So therefore on import of alcoholic liquor we pay only on import of alcoholic liquor we pay CVD but not IGST. Understood or not? Yes. Then next, petroleum products, are we importing? Yes. Sir, yes sir, of course sir. Where we have petroleum reserves, so where we can extract, we are importing. So when we are importing petrol, are we required to pay IGST? No, we are not required to pay IGST. Then what we need to pay? CVD, because excise duty is there. SAD, because sales tax is also there. Are you understanding? Sir, even after implementation of GST, excise duty is continuing na, sales tax is continuing na on local sale. So therefore on import also we have to pay CVD and SAD. Then next, on tobacco products imported, are we importing it or not? Do we have imported cigarettes? Yes, we have imported cigarettes in India. So then in that case on imported cigarettes, what is the GST payable? Yes. CVD? Yes. Also payable. Why? Because excise duty is there, duplicate of excise duty CVD, that will also be applicable, and as GST is there, so therefore IGST is also payable. You understood this connection? Yes, sir. So please look into the customs, types of customs duty. See, I will be making you to move between the pages. At least that work you do. So look into the types of customs duty. What is the page number here? $286, 1 second. You can see in page number 286 the list. So I connected there. On alcoholic liquor for human consumption, excise duty payable. Which excise duty payable? Upon domestic sale, state excise duty. So upon import we need to pay CVD. And CSTR VAT is also payable on domestic sale. So on import we need to pay actually SAD, but that is omitted. Okay. So that's why on import of alcohol we will pay only CVD. Then petroleum products, domestic sale, what we need to pay? Domestic, central excise duty, CST and VAT. So on import we need to pay CVD and SAD. Then tobacco and tobacco products, on domestic sale we need to pay excise duty and GST. So on import we need to pay CVD and IGST. Then other goods we have only GST. So therefore on import only IGST. Is it clear or not? So this is apart from basic customs duty and social welfare surcharge. In the place where IGST is there, it will be CVD and SAD, or only CVD and IGST, like that. Depending upon the product, it will be applicable. Again, we will come back to this while doing the customs, computation of customs duty payable. Understood or not? So we will be revisiting to this. At that time, please try to remember this information. Why there is CVD and SAD? Because that has a connection between the GST. Okay. Then, whether all services are covered under the ambit of GST? Yes, all services are covered under the ambit of GST. We don't have any issue. Whereas goods, except for alcoholic liquor and petroleum products, other goods are covered under GST. Once it is covered under GST, that is levy is there, thereafter few products are exempted, few products are taxable. Is it clear? So then once it is taxable, then also we have two charges. Forward charge or reverse charge. What is the meaning of forward charge mechanism? So I am supplier, you are my recipient. I will make supply of goods to you. I will pay GST to government and I will recover the GST from you. That is known as forward charge mechanism. Whereas under reverse charge mechanism, I am the supplier, you are my recipient, I will be making supply to you, you will pay GST to government. So that is known as reverse charge mechanism. Sir, in both cases, burden will be on recipient only, right? Yes. In both the cases, let it be FCM or let it be RCM, the burden of the tax will always be on the recipient. But here, who will pay or who is having the liability to pay to government only differs. So if it is FCM, who is having liability to pay to government? Supplier. If it is RCM, recipient. Remember, R for recipient, R for RCM. Okay. So recipient will be liable to pay GST under RCM. Done. So for that, first we need to know whether the services or goods are taxable or exempted. Only when it is taxable, FCM or RCM will come. Then, before knowing whether it is taxable or exempted, we need to know whether the activity is supply or not. You understood? Yes. So therefore, whenever you see any transaction in exam, because we will be having the first question, that is a 14 marks question in the descriptive. So 30 marks is objective. Okay, part A objective part for 30 marks. Mixture of both GST and customs will be there, and don't bank on the 30 marks. Actually, the 30 marks is the risk area. So all students will be thinking that the 30 marks we can score easily 20-25. This is not elective, so to refer and write. Okay. So keyword search we can be able to write the answer. No, not possible. So in GST, mainly in taxation paper, what I heard from many students is that MCQ part is difficult. So they are unable to do. The exception was the last attempt. Only in the last attempt the MCQ was easy. That is the recent November 21 exam, December 21 exam, that attempt alone, MCQ was a little easy compared to the previous attempts. But MCQ don't bank. So it is a 70 marks. This MCQ is always like, 50-50. So maybe if you are targeting somewhere like, sir, we should be getting 20 out of 30 is also according to my higher number. So 15 out of 30 is the possible number. You understood or not? So if it is more than that, good, surplus. But that you don't take as the criteria. 15 marks only there. Okay. So therefore, what was your target? 60. Out of that 60, 15 here. Then remaining still you need to score from 70 marks, descriptive. So descriptive, yes, you can score. Trust me, I have seen the answer sheets and I am telling this. Many answer sheets I have seen. A student who got 88 marks also, that answer sheet I have seen. A student who got 35 marks also, answer sheet I have seen. I will never say because of me only my students will get 88 marks, 90 marks, etc. and all. All those is bullshit according to me, okay? Because the fact is that, so the same student of mine got All India 3rd rank, 4th rank, many ranks, and same student of mine also failed in exam. You understood or not? So therefore, it's no way mine. So because I am the same faculty for all the students, it's all about their effort. Those who are listening and those who are presenting in a way I tell, so definitely marks you will get. Step marks are given in indirect tax subject. Step marks are there. Step marks are there. In descriptive, you can superbly score the step marks and you will be able to easily get 30-40 out of 70 marks. Easily you will be getting. What is that you need to do is that, while discussing the class itself, I will be telling you the presentation tips. Please follow that presentation tips. Understood or not? So therefore, in this, first question is there, 14 marks question. In that 14 marks question, what will happen? They will give few transactions and they will ask you to compute the net GST payable. So net GST payable equals to gross GST payable minus input tax credit. So what is net GST payable? Gross GST payable minus input tax credit. So gross GST payable will be on the outward supplies. So whenever we have some outward supplies, on that we need to compute the gross GST payable, that is tax paid on outward supplies. So first it should become a supply. This fact many students will not be thinking. They will directly see taxable or exempted. So before seeing taxable or exempted, first you need to know whether it is supply or not a supply. So only when it becomes supply, then you need to check whether it is a taxable supply or exempted supply. Only when it becomes taxable or exempted supply, then we need to see about who is liable to pay GST, because all these three things will be tested in the exam. For example, there are some transactions which are not at all regarded as supply. That will also be there. And there our student will write, it is exempted, no GST payable. They will not give marks. 1 mark gone. You understood? Actually, it is what? Not a supply. Excluded from supply. Why are you writing it as exempted? When it is excluded from supply or non-taxable supply, you cannot write it as exempted supply. It is not a supply. Simple. And once the activity becomes supply, then taxable or exempted. There you will not make mistake. You will write. But when it becomes taxable, FCM or RCM, that application you will be missing. So whether tax is payable by the supplier or tax is payable by the recipient, I will tell you what students will mainly do the mistake. Actually tax will be payable by the recipient, but they will write it under taxable, totally on that they will compute GST. Actually, so for that supplier we don't have to tax it, we need to tax it for the recipient. Even though it is a taxable supply, but it is not taxable in the hands of the supplier. You should be careful in these places. Is it clear or not? So first we need to know whether an activity is supply or not. Second, third, FCM or RCM. Okay. So therefore, in that these two activities are what? First of all, non-taxable, means not at all covered under levy. Not at all covered under levy. Okay. Now, like that we have any services? No, we don't have any services. So this is with respect to the position of goods under GST and position of service under GST. Now we are moving on to the next area, that is input tax credit. So you have a basic knowledge about input tax credit or no? Yes? Okay, then tell me what is input tax credit? Then no sir. That is tax paid on inward supplies. Okay. Say I am a trader. I am making some inward supplies and I am making some outward supplies. On my inward supplies, I will pay tax to the supplier. I will pay tax to the supplier. And that I will take as credit and adjust against the tax payable on outward supplies. That is what input tax credit is. Simple. The tax paid on purchases, for example, I purchase for 1000 rupees and 120 rupees is GST. That 120 rupees I paid on purchase, I will get as a voucher. Okay, 120 rupees gift voucher. Done. Now upon sales, I need to pay some 200 rupees. For the 200 rupees, this gift voucher I will adjust and remaining 80 rupees I will pay. This gift voucher is known as input tax credit. Is it clear or not? You understood? So this input tax credit, whatever is there, will be available only to the extent of GST paid on purchases. How much credit we will be getting? GST paid on purchases. So this gift voucher ka name is input tax credit. And what is input tax credit? GST paid on purchases. What we can do with that? We can adjust it against the GST payable on sales. Is it clear? Yes. Now, we collect from the customer 200 or we collect from the customer 80. In my example, on outward supply we need to pay GST 200. Whether we collect from my customer, then from my customer should I collect 200 or 80 rupees? I pay to government only 80. 200. How? See, 200 I will collect. How much I have? 200. In that 120 I paid on purchase, now recovered. What is left? 80. That I will give to government. That is only net tax liability. Is it clear or not? So therefore, what is input tax credit? GST paid on inward supply, which can be taken as credit and adjusted against the GST payable on outward supply. Okay. Now, this input tax credit, we have something called as availment of credit. What is the meaning of availment of credit? Taking credit. Utilization of credit, set off of credit. Availment of credit means taking credit. Set off of credit is known as utilization of credit. How do we take credit? In 3B. In GSTR 3B, the only way to take the credit is to enter the input tax credit GST paid on inward supply in GSTR 3B. What is GSTR 3B? That is also a return. Who will file that return? A registered person will file the return. What does it contain? It contains 5 details: inward supply, outward supply, input tax credit, that is GST paid on inward supply, then output tax liability, and it will have interest information. These are the 5 informations that will be there in GSTR 3B. What will be there in GSTR 1? Only outward supply details. In the next page you have some space na, so there you write down difference between GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. Difference between GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. Difference between GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. So what are the contents that will be there in GSTR 1? So write down contents. So contents, some issue with the pen, you write. So contents GSTR 1, details of outward supplies. In GSTR 1, contents in GSTR 1, details of outward supplies. In GSTR 3B, details of inward supplies, comma outward supplies, comma input tax credit, comma GST payable, and interest. So that detail will be there. Where? In GSTR 3B. Okay. Next line. Description. In GSTR 1, whether we give invoice wise details or consolidated details. Invoice wise details, right there. Invoice wise, majorly, in brackets majorly. But actually in one place we do consolidation. Intrastate supplies B2C we do consolidation. So majorly it is invoice wise. GSTR 1 invoice wise majorly. Okay. Whereas in GSTR 3B consolidated. So we will never report invoice wise details, we will sum everything and the totals only we will show in GSTR 3B. Okay. Then payment of tax, in particulars write down payment of tax. So GSTR 1 is actually payable or not? Tax is payable along with GSTR 1? No. Payment of tax along with return, GSTR 1? No. We don't have to pay any tax at the time of filing GSTR 1. At the time of filing GSTR 3B? Yes, we need to pay. We need to pay tax at the time of filing GSTR 3B. Okay. Then availment of ITC. Availment of ITC. What is the purpose of availment of ITC GSTR 1? No. What is the purpose of GSTR 1 in availment of ITC? So GSTR 1 invoice detail entered will go to which place? GSTR 2A, 2B, and that GSTR 2A, 2B of the recipient so needs to be matched with the actual invoices. Only the return, that is ITC as per 2A, 2B is known as matched credit. That much ITC only can be taken. So beyond that we cannot take. But we have a 5% relaxation. So matched ITC plus how much extra we can take? 5% we can take. Matched ITC plus how much we can take? 5%. For November 22 exam, only matched ITC can be taken, because with effect from 1/1/2022, 1st January 22 onwards, this 5% point is gone. So May 22 will be the last attempt where you will be applying that 5% extra credit, whereas thereafter there is no extra credit. Okay, so therefore we need to take only the matched credit. What is called as matched credit? Matched credit means that ITC which will be there in GSTR 2A 2B of the recipient. From where it will come? From there where it will come? It will come from the GSTR 1 of the supplier. Is it clear or not? So right there, for availment of ITC you written in particulars, GSTR 1 write down, invoices auto-populated to GSTR 2A or 2B of recipient. Invoices auto-populated to GSTR 2A or 2B of recipient. What is the difference between 2A, 2B? We will learn later. So there are two returns. GSTR 2A is also there, GSTR 2B is also there. So these two returns contains what details? Input tax credit details. From where these details will come? From GSTR 1. So invoices are auto-populated. So the day when you enter in GSTR 1, so that data will be auto-populated in which place? GSTR 2A, GSTR 2B of the recipient. That is the purpose of GSTR 1 for ITC. Clear or not? Then GSTR 3B, ITC availed equals to, so we will take ITC in GSTR 3B now. ITC availed equal to, how much ITC we will take in 3B? ITC reflected, eligible ITC reflected in GSTR 2A 2B, eligible ITC reflected in GSTR 2A 2B, eligible ITC reflected in GSTR 2A 2B plus 5% subject to eligible ITC as per invoices. Subject to eligible ITC as per invoices. Subject to eligible ITC as per invoices. Darling, you are writing for November, na? That 5% point don't write. So 5% will not be there, and plus 5% subject to maximum ITC as per invoices. Okay, why like this? 100 rupees is the eligible matched ITC, and 100 rupees is the ITC as per invoices, and 97 is the matched ITC. Okay, now 97 plus 5% how much? 97 plus 5% is how much? 101. So can we take 101 point something as ITC? No, maximum 100 only can be taken as ITC. Is it clear or not? 100 is the ITC as per your invoice. 100 is the ITC as per your invoice. Whereas matched ITC means what is reflected in GSTR 2A 2B is only 97. So then if this 5% is given, then everyone will take more than what is eligible, correct or not? So due to that reason, 97 plus 5%, 97 plus 5%, so that will be coming to more than 100. 101 point, how much you said? 85. But how much can be taken? Only 100 can be taken. We cannot take 101.85. Is it clear or not? But of course this problem will not be there in future, so at present only. So in exam be careful, don't just blindly add 5% and take the credit. That should be subject to eligible ITC. Okay, suppose if it is 80, suppose if it is 80, matched ITC 80, so then 80 plus 5%, 80 plus 5% is how much? 84 can be taken as credit. Okay, so how much provisional credit that you have taken? 4 you have taken as provisional credit. Is 4 rupees you have taken as provisional credit. Okay, means not matched. Not matched, you are taking 4 rupees. Eventually it should get matched. Eventually it should get matched by the time we file the annual return. Not that 5% happily we can take and keep. So eventually it should get matched. Means what? It should be coming in GSTR 1. Okay, fine. So this is too early for our discussion. Let's go back little bit backside. That is, I told you, whatever data that is there in GSTR 1 reported by supplier will go to which place? 2A or 2B of the recipient. For example, I am the supplier, you are the recipient. I need to file which return? GSTR 1. for declaring my outward supply. When I declare that in my GSTR1 outward supply, that will come to you as GSTR 2A 2B inward supply ITC. So that is only known as what ITC? Matched ITC. That is only known as matched ITC. What is matched ITC? ITC in GSTR 2A 2B is known as matched ITC. I am stressing this much because this concept of matched ITC plus 5% etc. they started testing only from the last attempt. Okay. So therefore definitely for May 22 exam I am expecting a question for sure on this matching. Okay. So please try to understand this. So therefore what is matched ITC? ITC reflected in which statement? 2A 2B. Who will give you 2A 2B? GST network will give you 2A 2B. GST network will give you 2A 2B. From where they will create 2A 2B? GSTR1 of the supplier. Okay. Now, why will there be difference between your matched ITC and your actual ITC? Because supplier did not file return or supplier filed wrong return. Okay. Correct? Only two reasons. Supplier did not file return or supplier filed the wrong information in the return. Because of that only matched ITC will not tally with the actual ITC. Correct or not? So therefore, if the supplier rectifies this at a later point of time, so then eventually it will get matched. You understood or not? If the supplier rectifies the GSTR1 at a later point of time, or if the supplier files the GSTR1 at a later point of time, eventually the credit gets matched. So now whatever 5% you are taking by the time you file annual return, so this should be matched. Understood or not? What will happen if it is not matched? You should be reversing that credit. You have taken extra na here. This 4 you have taken extra. This 4 rupees you have taken extra. So that you need to reverse along with interest. Suppose if it gets matched. How do you know it gets matched or not? You need to verify. So whether it is reflected in the GSTR 2A at a later point of time or not, you need to verify. Suppose if the GSTR 2A it comes. Why it will come in GSTR 2A not in 2B? Because 2B is a static statement, 2A is a dynamic statement. So whenever supplier files a return late, whenever supplier rectifies the return, so that data will be captured in GSTR 2A. So now you will be able to know whether it got matched or not. So therefore no need to reverse this 4 rupees. Is it clear? Understood? So that is the purpose of GSTR 3B. Clear here? Now what is the filing frequency? Filing frequency. Monthly or quarterly or both? Both are there. So write down. Frequency. So you have written related to ITC. What is the purpose of GSTR1, GSTR3B na? Frequency. Frequency of GSTR1 monthly or quarterly? Monthly or quarterly. Same way 3B also monthly or quarterly. What is this quarterly GSTR1 and 3B? QRMP, quarterly return monthly payment. Under the GSTR1 can be filed on a quarterly basis, and even GSTR 3B can be filed on a quarterly basis if you are under QRMP, quarterly return monthly payment. That's why I said both. Okay. Then due dates. Due date. First GSTR1 monthly. What is the due date? See, actually all this information will come at a later point of time. I am giving you this now itself because you need to get a clarity. Otherwise when I am repeating GSTR1 and 3B, you will look at me what it is. Okay. That's why I just gave you the clarity now itself. What is the due date if it is GSTR1 monthly? 11th of the month following every month. 11th of the month following every month. GSTR1 11th of the month following every month. Quarterly 13th of the month following every quarter. 13th of the month following every quarter. No, GSTR1 only. GSTR1 monthly is 11th, quarterly is 13th. GSTR1 monthly is 11th, quarterly is 13th. Monthly is 11th of the month following every month, quarterly is 13th of the month following every quarter. 3B monthly 20th of the month following every month. GSTR 3B monthly 20th of the month following every month. If it is quarterly, GSTR 3B 22nd or 24th. 22nd or 24th of the month following every quarter. 22nd or 24th of the month following every quarter. See this is India map, visible, no? Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Telangana, okay? Not Telangana, Andhra Pradesh. Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Andhra Pradesh. That line, remember, that line and below that line it will be 22nd, okay? Which one? Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, okay? GMCA, okay pa? GMCA, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh. For that states and below that, for that states and below that, it will be 22nd. All states above that, it will be 24th, okay? Clear or not? I told you 22nd and 24th, na? So 22nd in which case, 24th in which case, you should be knowing. That's why I am telling you this, that Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh and all states below that. Those states and all states below that, that is Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Goa, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, all states, it will be 22nd. For the remaining states above that, that is Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, etc. That side, north side, it will be 24th. Why sir like that? I don't know, yaar. I don't know. Maybe it could be because of the heavy load on the portal. So they would have divided this way, and thereafter maybe because we are actually sharp and we will be filing returns fast. So that's why 22nd would have been kept for us, and for them basically lazy fellows. So maybe for them they would have kept to 24th. Okay. So I don't know. So this is the due date of filing GSTR1 and GSTR3B. Understood or not? Then. So now you got the clarity with respect to GSTR3B. Now come back to input tax credit. What is the meaning of input tax credit? Previous page. So what is input tax credit? GST paid on inward supply will be taken as credit. Where it will be taken as credit? Now onwards we should not use the word taken as credit. We should call it as availment of credit. Where we will avail the credit? In GSTR 3B. And adjusted against what? Outward liability. GST payable on outward supplies. Then utilization of credit means adjusting credit. That also through 3B. 3B, once you are filing, at the time of filing 3B you need to pay tax, correct or not? That point I told you. So at the time of filing 3B you will pay tax. So in the 3B you will enter the input tax credit and you will enter the output liability, and thereafter the payment will be done. So whatever credit that is there in the credit ledger, electronic credit ledger, like that one credit ledger will be there. In that the balance will be adjusted against the liability. Still there is a balance that will be paid out of your electronic cash ledger. Okay. So therefore there are totally 3 ledgers maintained by GST network on behalf of every registered person. What are those 3 ledgers? Electronic liability ledger, electronic credit ledger, electronic cash ledger. Understood? What are the 3 ledgers that will be maintained by GST network on behalf of every registered person? Electronic liability ledger. What does electronic liability ledger contains? The GST payable. The GST payable data will be there in electronic liability ledger. Then electronic credit ledger, input tax credit, electronic cash ledger. So whatever deposit that we have made, okay, cash deposit made, which will be adjusted against the liability. Understood or not? So these will always have a contra effect. For example, input tax credit is asset or liability to you? asset because it's a receivable, correct or not? You can adjust with your liability. So it's a receivable asset. Asset should show a debit balance, but it will show a credit balance there because contra, they are maintaining your ledger. Okay. Then liability shows what balance for you? Credit balance. But in the electronic liability ledger, the liability shows a debit balance because it is a contra. Is it clear? Just like our cash book and passbook. So there will be a difference between the debits and credits, na? So the same way it will be. Okay. So don't get confused when you see that ledger. So why input tax credit is on the credit side? Actually input tax credit should be on the debit side, na? Because we have taken the credit. So because it is a contra effect, in electronic credit ledger, input tax credit will be showing on the credit side. It's a credit balance, understood or not? Then suppose if we import, we pay basic customs duties, social welfare surcharge and IGST. These are the three customs duties that we pay. So what are the three customs duties that we pay on import? Basic customs duties, social welfare surcharge, IGST. Can that IGST be taken as credit? Yes. That IGST can be taken as credit. Then next, so what about basic customs duty, social welfare surcharge? No, that cannot be taken as credit. Only that IGST component is there, na? That can be taken as credit. So how to take that as credit? Will that also come into A to B? Yes. Whatever IGST you paid at the time of import, if you want somewhere you write down IGST paid on import, you will be filing a bill of entry. Okay. So bill of entry will be connected to your GST portal. So whatever IGST showed in that bill of entry will come into the GSTR 2A to B. IGST paid on import reflected in GSTR 2A or 2B of the recipient. Okay. So which means that whenever we file bill of entry, what is that we need to ensure with? We will give GSTIN, and that we will do by default, because when we file bill of entry, who will file bill of entry? Importer of goods will file bill of entry under customs. That bill of entry contains the details of the goods customs duty payable. So there we need to give our GSTIN along with IEC. Okay, we need to give our GSTIN along with import export code. When we give our GSTIN, so from there, whatever IGST we paid against that bill of entry will be coming in GSTR 2A to B, so we can take that credit. Understood? Then, next, suppose if my outward supply is taxable, can I enjoy the credit on my inward supply? Of course, yes. When my outward supply is exempted, can I enjoy the credit on my inward supply? No. When my outward supply is exempted, I cannot take credit on my inward supply. Actually, this is a basic principle which you should be knowing. That is, there is no one-to-one correlation. There is no one-to-one correlation. That is, if my outward supplies are taxable, the inward supply may be used for that outward supply or not, I can enjoy the credit. Example, I am manufacturing two products, product X and product Y. And for manufacture of product X and product Y, I have some raw material A and raw material B. A is used for X and B is used for both X and Y. Okay. So now I have paid some GST on raw material X. Can I use that GST paid on raw material A? Sorry, I paid some GST on raw material A. Can I use that GST paid on raw material A for payment of GST with respect to finished goods Y? Yes. There is no one-to-one correlation. So whatever inward supplies on which GST paid, everything will be accumulated into one account called as input tax credit. Whatever that person's outward liability, so for that it will be adjusted. So we will never see one-to-one correlation whether input is present in the output or not. Only point that we will see is that, is it used in the course or furtherance of your business? Gone were the days where we will be checking whether inward is present in the outward or not. So we will see whether it is used in the course or furtherance of your business, on office equipments, on security personnel, whatever amounts that we are paying, consulting amounts that we are paying, whatever it is. Don't see whether it is present in the final product or not. Don't see whether it is present in the outward supply or not. The GST paid can be taken as credit, provided it is used in the course or furtherance of business. One-to-one correlation required or not required? And for how many years you can carry forward the credit? No time limit. No time limit. For how many years you can carry forward the credit? N number of years you can carry forward. If you transfer the business, credit also gets transferred. When you transfer the business, whatever input tax credit that you have now, that also gets transferred. When you shut the business, then the input tax credit is gone. Okay. Until the time business is in existence, the input tax credit will be in existence. You can carry forward the input tax credit to as many number of years as you can. Is it clear?
Yes,
Now, here that particular input tax credit, as we are not seeing one-to-one correlation, however, there is an exception. When my outward supply is exempted, at that time I will see for this outward supply what are the inward supplies, and on that inward supplies GST paid cannot be taken as credit. Understood? Clear? So, first there is no one-to-one correlation. Inward, outward, don't see all these things. Used in the course or furtherance of business, you enjoy. But the only place where we will be checking this is what? When my outward supply is exempted. For that outward supply exempted, I need to go and see what are the inward supplies used in that exempted supply. With respect to those inward supplies only, GST paid cannot be taken as credit. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
That is what I gave here. If outward supply are taxable, ITC available with respect to inward supply. If outward supply are exempted, ITC not available with respect to inward supply. What if the outward supply is zero rated? What is zero rated means? The rate is zero. Wrong. The rate is zero is known as nil rated goods. It's not zero rated goods. The rate is zero means nil rated. It is not called as zero rated. Then what are zero rated goods? Any rate, whatever may be the type of goods or service, any rate it will be. The day when you export those goods or services, or when you supply those goods or services to special economic zone, then it will be known as zero rated. Is it clear or not? So what are zero rated? Come on. Export of goods or services or supply of goods or services to SEZ is known as zero rated supplies. In case of zero rated supplies, there are two options available, but we will take the input tax credit. Whether we pay GST or not, we have two options. In case of zero rated supplies, we have two options, whether we pay GST or not, but ITC is available when my outward supply is zero rated. Why is it called as zero rated? So we need to understand. There are two options available in case of zero rated. You can see that below. So option 1 and option 2, etc. So that we will see after the break. Okay. So now look into what are zero rated supplies. Only these two are considered as zero rated supplies. What are they? Export of goods or services or supply of goods or services to SEZ. Okay. So what we have seen so far is how GST is formed. Then what is the type of GST that we have? Dual model. And what are the various types of GST? Taxable event, that is supply, meaning of supply intrastate, interstate, and then we have seen the legislative framework, and then we proceeded to the introduction to input tax credit. From here we have seen what are the various returns, GSTR 1 means what, 3B means what, how we will take the credit, etc. That part we have completed. So we are into the discussion related to zero rated supplies. So we'll take a break. Can we meet at 11:15? 15 minutes sufficient now, and don't eat heavily and come and all in that 15 minutes. Okay, have one tea or coffee, but don't eat and come. Afternoon also don't eat heavily, please pa. No curd rice, strictly no. Okay, limited food. Done?